Hello everyone, Triple S back here with some more Within 2. It's been a while since I recorded some of this. I can't exactly remember what happened specifically in the last episode, but I know that we had an interaction with Excelsior and stuff again, I think? At some point, or something like that. But anyway, I like the tram. Several stops later, buy breakfast at a convenience store. No better way to begin the day than eating a cold sandwich with egg that tasted like it expired 3 days ago. I am definitely allergic to eggs. No, thank you. When I exited the store, two trams crossed paths in front of me. The drivers exchanged nods with one another. With so many trams around, I wonder if the drivers had to greet every colleague they saw. Happens with buses here in the UK all the time. Just bus drivers waving at each other. I pulled out my paper map, which looks more creased up than it did yesterday. Some of its edges had even been chipped off. It looks perfectly fine to me. No, I might be stingy on food, but not quite to a level where I would eat paper. The pieces must have fallen into my backpack somewhere. As I chewed on my sandwich, I scanned the map for my destination, Federation Square, a 10-minute stroll from College Street, which was where I stood right now. I put away my map and started to walk. Map. Right as I finished my sandwich, Federation Square appeared into view opposite a pedestrian crossing. A spacious plaza perfect for showcasing calligraphy. Calligraphers had already begun to gather around the square. A good few of them were taking photos of Flinders Street Station located across the road. Even without doing a head count, I could tell there was well over 100 calligraphers here. I just hoped none of them would recognise me. Horse carriages formed a line on the road opposite Federation Square. Were these carriages for hire? Riding on one seemed fun, but that would have to wait for another time. Yeah. I crossed the road and joined the other calligraphers at Federation Square. On the far side stood a couple of designer buildings, but the crowd had blocked my view of them. This guy standing next to me was on the phone and said something like, "Yeah, I'm on Fed Square. That must be what the locals called this place. Maybe I should start saying that as well to blend in." Ooh, those girls from the Sky Deck yesterday sat on the steps, no doubt complaining to each other about life again. One of them glanced up during their chatter. Our eyes met for a moment, yet her expression showed no change. She must have already erased my face from her memory. Fine by me! Don't remember you either! Go away! A man in a dark suit and red tie walked up to me. "Are you a calligrapher?" I nodded and he handed me a brush along with some ink, followed by a roll of parchment. Excelsior is scheduled to arrive at midday, he said. Until then, all calligraphers are invited to showcase their works around the plaza. For a moment, I'd hoped this guy might have been an agent who was scouting me as potential talent. Dreams would always be dreams. Several other event staff issued the same gear to the other attendees. Nothing special at all about me, in other words. One by one, the calligraphers unrolled their parchments along the concrete, dropped onto their knees and got to work. Some of the calligraphers took out their phones and snapped photos of their blank canvas. I bet they would post these pictures on social media and talk all big like they had already made it. In the corner, a girl was tracing some signs in the air with her fingers and mumbling to herself. Must be a ritual of some sort. Excuse me. Meanwhile, another man sank onto his knees above the stairs, slapping his palms together in a praying position. I guessed he was channeling strength from the calligraphy gods. The staff had set up barricades to reserve a circular space in the plaza. This must be for Excelsior when she showed up. The staff had saved her more room than the rest of us combined. I peeked at other people's work as I straightened my parchment across the ground. These guys might be weird, but once they put it to paper, their strokes look quite refined. Uh-oh. As I put down my backpack and lowered onto my knees, I wondered if I should draw a star in the air. Without any rituals, I felt as dull as a pack of original flavoured chips. I was going to say packets, but then it just says pack. Sorry to the original fans out there. Okay. My fingers trembled as I dipped my brush into the ink container. This was the first time I performed in public after all. When I worked alone in my room, I held my chin high like I had no equal. Now I felt like everyone had their eyes on me, waiting to catch a mistake so they could laugh in my face. To my side sat a boy with his parents standing beside him. He too had a brush in hand, but he had dipped in too much ink, causing half of his page to turn black. With a slip of the hand, the boy painted a stroke across the pavement. Those poor parents bowed frantically at the event staff while their kid giggled at the chaos he had caused. Well, I knew I had more skills than at least one person in here. I wiped some sweat off my brows, feeling a little relieved. Great, so I'd even use this innocent child for a morale boost. Can't talk at all. It usually took me around an hour to complete a piece of calligraphy. Today I needed the same amount of time just to paint one stroke. No way could I allow myself to mess with public. Ooh. Fed Square was a tourist attraction. As afternoon approached, more and more people started to show up. These tourists loitered around the plaza, eyeing our works with their arms either folded or locked behind their backs. I felt like a child having her homework critiqued by the teacher. Once in a while I would point my brush toward the sun, trying to look all artistic. Whenever someone walked by, I would stand up and stroke my chin, acting like some sort of master. 3 hours passed, and I at last finished my piece. Just as I completed my final stroke, the plaza erupted into whistles and applause. Oh, had these people finally recognised my greatness? The crowd separated, forming a lane for Excelsior and her 2 guards to walk through. Should have known these people would never cheer for the likes of me. Heaving a sigh, I too joined in with the crowd. Here's Excelsior with her 2 Matrix agents. The phone cameras clicked non-stop as the audience snapped pictures of Excelsior. Her guards put up their hands signaling the fans to stop, but they had no way of keeping them all under control. Excelsior, 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 Excelsior! The fans shouted over one another to try and get their idol's attention. Excelsior, may I get a photo with you? Can you sign some autographs for my kids, and 2 for me, of course? Ah, I can't believe I said this because Excelsior! For some reason, this all sounded kind of familiar. The afternoon sun, combined with Excelsior's sparkle, forced some of the fans to put on their sunglasses. As Excelsior strutted by, the staff extended their hands to her. Excelsior's guards shook their hands in her place, and the staff frowned that they had just lost the lottery by a number. One of the guards accidentally stomped onto my parchment as he marched by, waiting with a footprint right in the middle of my work. The whole page now reeked of dirt and grass, so thanks. Several other calligraphers gasped as the guards trampled on their works as well. At least they had some company. Now all of her works looked like doodles from preschoolers. A third guard ran up to Excelsior from behind, holding a roll of parchment in twice his height. This guard dashed on ahead and unrolled his parchment across the space those staff had reserved. The 3 guards formed a triangle around the parchment and stretched their arms out. Those staff had already set up barricades, but apparently the guards preferred to serve as human shields. It sounded like it would have sounded better to say those staff had already set up barricades, or whatever. As Excelsior watered the parchment and event staff offered her a brush, Excelsior shook her head to indicate there was no need. The audience began to whisper in anticipation. I too held my breath as I prepared to witness Excelsior's famous routine. Excelsior reached inside her sleeve and pulled out a gold brush. There it was, just like the way she always did it on TV. The crowd let out a woo, with a few muttering in envy under their breaths. From her other sleeve, Excelsior fished out an ink container studded with diamonds. With gear like that, I almost wondered if she had some kind of allergy to plain black. Excelsior's hair billowed in the afternoon breeze. The crowd felt quiet as she put down a container, opened the lid and dipped her brush into the ink. On YouTube, I had seen recordings of Excelsior at work, but because they were filmed in secret, the footage always came out blurry. Which pixel is Excelsior? As the comments always read, today I could at last study Excelsior's techniques firsthand. No way would I allow myself to even blink. Ooh, she looks determined. Excelsior stamped her feet together and closed her eyes. I could almost hear the audience swallowing in anticipation. Even the nearby road drivers poked their heads out the window to see what was going on. Excelsior lifted her shoe off the ground as if trying to squash a bug. As she stomped onto the pavement, she swung her brush and delivered the first stroke. Never before had I seen such a smooth wrist motion. The stroke came out in a perfect curve, plus that ink thickened and thinned at just the right points, not a single drop of stray ink on the page. One of the staff covered her mouth as tears streamed down her cheeks. My works had made people laugh when they saw the screw-ups, but never before had moved anyone to tears. Damn, she's a ninja. All this time, I tried to convince myself that Excelsior only reached a status through hype. Now I witnessed firsthand that she possessed skills I lacked even in my dreams. If Excelsior were a 60-year-old veteran, I could have accepted it. She was, however, only a year older than I. No way can I reach her level in 12 months, or even if I quit my job and trained full-time. This must be what they call talent. I had the heart to climb, but without any gift I might as well be scaling a tower with a stepladder. How I wish we could all have been born equal. Excelsior continued to swing her brush in rhythm as if performing a dance. That crying staff from earlier had passed out completely. With strokes this precise, I suspected Excelsior might actually be a robot, but her lines also possessed a human quality that machines could never replicate. Machines can replicate. Stargate. Another staff with tears in her eyes picked up a mic from the table and spoke with a cracking voice. And now it brings me great pleasure to present this highlight video of Miss Excelsior. The staff pointed toward the widescreen standing on top of the stage. We turned our attention to the display and waited for the film to roll. At such a young age, Excelsior had already achieved enough to warrant a highlight video. No wonder why so many people envied her. What about my video? Getting trolled on the streets, being late for work, becoming a YouTube sensation. That last one sounded nice on the surface at least. The screen switched on, showing the top of Excelsior's head. This footage was shaking so much that I wondered if the cameraman was a toddler. I could barely pick out anything in the video. The film stabilised after a few seconds and I saw some calligraphies painted along a brick wall behind Excelsior. This looked like Hosier Lane, one of the first places I visited yesterday. In this video, however, those calligraphies on the wall had yet to be smeared. Excelsior panted as she turned left and right, looking like she had just escaped from a stalker. The camera showed no one else in the scene, though. Ooh. Excelsior's lips twisted into a grin that was seeping with venom. Her mouth opened and revealed a fanged tooth in the corner of her lips, so that explained why she never showed her teeth on TV. The viewers gasped, but Excelsior picked up a brush and smudged white ink all over the wall calligraphies. She painted with none of the grace she had shown in her live performance. In the footage, she looked like me when I was scrubbing the restaurant toilets during work. So Excelsior was the one who had wiped those calligraphies away, but why? Surely she could have left that dirty work to one of the staff here. Speaking of staff, this footage left them all looking confused. Maybe they had put in the wrong tape, because it sure looked nothing like a highlight video. A female calligrapher marched up to the staff holding the mic. With a grunt, she yanked the mic out of the staff's hands. "I'm the one who recorded this footage in secret and swapped out the disc," the calligrapher said. "Watch closely, everyone. Excelsior is about to show her true colours." The video cut to Excelsior in a limousine. That hotel in the backdrop looked like a mansion seen in movies. A guard opened the limousine door and offered a hand. Excelsior flicked her hair as she climbed out, ignoring the hand like it was a worm. "Madame, how many accounts should we create?" the guard asked. "Ooh, at least 3 each," Excelsior said. "Make sure you write each post in a different tone." Wow, this calligrapher begged Excelsior for a plug. Oh! Oh! Wow! Excelsior yawned as she strode into her hotel. It'll do. I recalled reading that exact comment on my Reddit thread. Those guards wrote all of those replies. Not only that, but they did so based on Excelsior's orders. Did she want to banish me from the calligraphy world that badly? The film cut to a shot of Fed Square. Excelsior walked into the scene with a guard by her either side and a third one carrying a roll of parchment. Hey, this only happened moments ago. The stalker must be a pro, being able to edit the film and replace the highlight tape in such a short time. Excelsior put on a smirk and once again flashed her fang tooth. It only lasted for a moment, which must be why I had missed it in person earlier. Excelsior jerked her chin and the guard swerved into the parchments laid out by the calligraphers. I looked away from the screen to stare at that footprint smudged across my page. Without the video, I would have written this off as an accident. Now I knew what Excelsior was really about. Oh, the film cut out. The calligraphers on scene erupted into boos. One of them crushed his parchment into a ball and threw it at Excelsior. Many other calligraphers followed suit as they too rolled their pages into projectiles. Many people clicked away with their cameras, some used their phones, while others brought professional cameras with them. Sorry if you're hearing a clicking noise, sorry, I'm filming something, because I'm like, yeah. There must be a good few journalists hiding within the crowd. Excelsior's guards closed in around her, forming a human shield as paper balls rained upon their heads. As Excelsior opened her mouth to whimper, I saw she did indeed have a fanged tooth, but she had bigger problems to cower over right now. With her usual sparkle gone, Excelsior looked so frail inside this angry mob. Some of these calligraphers were middle-aged men, yet they showed no shame in hurling papers at a lady. I glanced down at my parchment, pondering if I too should let Excelsior know how I felt. With her planting thorns in my path, no wonder why I bled with every step I took. Enough was enough. I decided I must let my feelings be known. After picking up my ink container and brush, I stalked up to Excelsior. A few stray paper balls hit me behind the head, but I paid them no heed. I threw my ink container onto Excelsior's parchment, staining her work in a Oh, I thought you were going to throw it over her. God damn it. The crowd ceased their paper assault and watched as I scribbled my brush all over Excelsior's page until her work had been smeared beyond recognition. Satisfied with the damage, I tossed my brush onto the parchment. I've always wanted to do that. With all eyes now glued onto me, I could feel my cheeks reddening. Of all the times I could have picked to snap, I had to choose the biggest calligraphy event this year. At this rate, another dubstep remix might be imminent. "Hey!" a female voice called out. I turned around and saw a lady waving my piece of work in the air. It was one of those girls I had met on the sky deck yesterday. Oh, the girl tore my page into halves, then quarters. 3 hours of work ripped to shreds, yet the corner of my lips twitched in a smile. That paper already had footprints all over it. If this girl wanted to upset me, she would have to try a little harder. Another calligrapher yanked away someone else's parchment before folding it into a plane. He threw the plane skyward and it came spiraling down, summing up this whole event rather nicely. Once that plane crashed onto the pavement it was on, the calligraphers destroyed one another's works in whatever way they saw fit. Some even folded them into origami. One guy tore the paper in his hand into edible sizes and well started eating them. He might as well check himself into hospital now. Another man tried feeding his paper scraps to a pigeon. Fortunately, the bird flew away as if to say, ain't nobody got time for that. The staff trading baffled looks, perhaps unsure whether to intervene or join in. Sorry, but only those in the trenches had the right to participate. About time we stopped acting like pals and admitted we were adversaries. Inkmat's covered Excelsior's cheeks from the earlier assault as her guards brushed away the stains with towels. She stood stiff with a confused expression that satisfied me greatly. With no pages left to destroy, the badness came to an end at last. The maniac laughter settled into awkward giggles, followed by silence. About all the calligraphers here regretted their outburst at some level. One calligrapher picked up her bag and crossed the road to leave Fed Square. With that, everyone else started to follow. The autograph and Q&A sessions must be cancelled then. Even the staff started to pack away their equipment. Soon the entire crowd had dispersed. Torn scraps of paper lit the plaza, serving as the only evidence of this event ever taking place. The cleaner will probably drop by later and stick all of our names onto voodoo dolls. I kind of started this whole thing, so let me be the one to apologise. Birds chirped as they continued to search for food scraps around Fed Square. Meanwhile, I gazed up to see the sun had already begun its descent. A large bell chimed to my right, and I assumed it came from that church on the street opposite. My return flight took off at 7 AM tomorrow, so I'd best get an early sleep. Oh no! I put on my backpack and shuffled up to the crossing. As I waited for the light to turn green, I peered over my shoulder at Excelsior. She sat on the stairs of Fed Square with her hands wrapped around herself, with her head hanging low. She looked like a child who had just lost her mother. Now that Excelsior no longer had a sparkle, the pedestrians strolled by without even noticing her. This must be how I looked when I tried to sell my calligraphies on the street. All this time I wanted to swap place with Excelsior, even if it must come at her expense. Now that she collapsed face first off her pedestal, why did I find myself frowning? Just as the light turned green, I spun around and returned to Excelsior's side. As I took a seat on the stairs beside her, she waved her guards off. You guys head back to the hotel first. But, Miss Excelsior, I said leave! The guards traded uncertain looks before retreating into their limousine as ordered. As the car drove off, I wondered if those guards cared for Excelsior or were simply worried about keeping their jobs. Just one mistake and it's all over, Excelsior said. She smiled, but the way her lips quivered told me she was fighting back tears. You saw how I tried to ruin your career, Vinty. Go on, make fun of me. She remembered your name. I stayed silent for a while as I was trying to think of a witty insult. As some thought the right words came to me. Let me shout you to that meal, I promised, I said. Excelsior blinked at me, looking confused, as if we no longer spoke the same language. I got up, patted dirt off my bottom, and offered Excelsior a hand. When she gave no response, I pulled her up by force and dragged her into a tram. I clicked. There we go. The carriages looked even more packed than they did this morning. All these people in suits must be on their way home after a long day of work. I tapped on with the Mikey card, and at least Excelsior still had enough awareness to do the same. After putting the card back into my wallet, I pulled Excelsior deeper into the carriage. Excelsior tucked herself into a corner with her shoulders hunched, looking like a puppy strapped onto a roller coaster. For the whole ride, neither of us said a word. I twiddled my thumbs as I questioned if I had been too forceful. Once we crossed the bridge, the time had come for us to alight. This time Excelsior tapped off and followed me out of the tram on her own. We crossed the road and walked into the restaurant where I had dinner last night. As soon as I entered, the cashier lady grinned like she had reunited with an old friend. Vinty! Excelsior turned to me with her eyes slightly widened. For once, I felt like I was a celebrity instead of her. I had flies rather than sparkles buzzing around me, but oh well. With my head held high, I led Excelsior up to the nearby table. The cushion on one of the chairs looked torn, so I took that seat and saved the better one for Excelsior, but they were probably all trash in her eyes. Once we both sat, the restaurant lady came over to hand us a menu each. Hey Vinty, this a friend of yours? I nodded. This is Excelsior. The lady put her hand over her lips. Shit, the famous calligrapher. I've seen her in commercials and stuff. Damn! Excelsior lifted her brows, no doubt surprised that a waitress would drop an S-bomb on her customers. That would never happen in those five-star restaurants Excelsior frequented. Excelsior grimaced as she read through the menu. Now she knew how I felt when I was looking at that menu on the plane. She'd probably never seen these common folk dishes in her life. The beef noodle here is pretty good, I said. I'll go with that then, Excelsior said. Handing her menu back to the lady, I ordered a plate of fried rice before returning my menu as well. Won't be long, Hans, the lady said, and jogged back behind her counter. Keeping to her word, she came out and delivered our dishes in under 5 minutes. What a massive bowl, Excelsior muttered, staring at the beef noodles on her table. It must be really expensive. $10, if I recall correctly, I said. Excelsior gasped. What a bargain! More like those fancy restaurants were rip-offs, I thought, but I kept the opinion to myself. As I ate my fried rice, I stole a few glances at Excelsior. I had feared she might hate the lowly dish, but if so, she sure ate it up fast. By the way, guys, this is going to be a long episode. I'm actually thinking I might be able to finish this in one episode, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. When Excelsior finished, she let out a burp that I never would have associated with the star. For a second, she slouched back on her wooden chair, but straightened again right away with flushed cheeks. Tonight, I caught Excelsior trying to act like one of us, not the other way around. That made me smile and realised how silly I must have looked when I tried to copy her every move. As I finished my rice, Excelsior took out a platinum card. I shook my head and pulled out a couple of notes from my wallet. Even if Excelsior insisted on paying, this place might actually have a card reader. I wondered how long it had been since she last paid for anything with cash. Excelsior followed me up to the counter while I paid for our meals. As she whispered thank you, I felt like I was the big sister for a change. Yes, I knew Excelsior was a head taller, but just play along. I'm flying home tomorrow morning, I told the lady as I paid her. Hopefully I'll have a chance to visit again. The lady wrapped both of her hands around mine. You're always welcome here. Maybe we can have a cuppa together sometime. I had no idea what a cuppa was because she's stupid, but I still smiled and nodded. With her hands on top of mine, I noticed this lady had a couple of chip nails that might have broke during work. Still, I found her more attractive than any of those fashion model wannabes I met on the sky deck. This lady pretty much took her heart out and lifted it on the table for me to hug. Pardon me. Perhaps she only acted this way in the name of business, but I wanted to believe it was genuine. If I ever visited Melbourne again, I vowed to drop by for another meal. Can I know your name? It's Grace, the lady said, sending us off with a grin. See you around, Vincy, and you as well, Excelsior. I guess it's like maybe Excelia? I never thought of that. Maybe it's like Excelia. Instead of like Excelia? I don't know. I'm going to keep calling Excelsior. The wind chimes jingled as I pushed the door open and stepped out. Excelsior trailed me up the closest tram stop across the road, leaves rustling in the trees above as she sat onto a set of stairs nearby. Again? Cars drove by and honked in the distance, but not one of them passed the road before as I rolled a pebble around under my shoe, unsure of what to say. When the honks of an oncoming tram sounded in the distance, I pulled out the Mikey card from my wallet. Too bad I must leave tomorrow because I had grown quite comfortable with the routine here. Excelsior meanwhile remained rooted on the flight of stairs. The oncoming tram slowed to a near stop, even though I never gave it any signal. When the driver met my gaze, I shook my head and made a little bowing apology. The driver drove on with a shrug, leaving Excelsior and I behind. It's over, Excelsior said, squeezing her robe like it was a stress ball. A decade of work erased by just one error. I'm a disgrace to my family. Your family? Are you doing this for them or yourself? I asked, putting my hands over my hips. Excelsior opened her mouth but afforded no response. After huffing out a long breath, I continued. I've seen the way you smile when you work. There's no way you'd make a face like that if you hate your calligraphy. Excelsior's shoulders convulsed, looking like she wanted to cry. Maybe I'd gone too far in my words. It no longer matters whether I like calligraphy or not, Excelsior said. After what happened today, I'll be driven out of the industry. I'll bet they're flaming me everywhere as we speak. For a second I wanted to tell her it was karma, but I managed to swallow the words. Even if it hurt like plucking splinters, I wanted to rid my heart of these grudges. Ooh. I pulled up my phone and hopped onto a daily news site. As I expected, the chaos today made it onto the front page. Excelsior exposed, the headline read, but the article had only 2 likes and over 100 thumbs down. I scrolled down to the comment section and read exactly what I'd anticipated. With a smile, I flipped the phone around for Excelsior to see. Latest comment. Best show ever. I got quite a lot out of it. The calligraphers there were all so sweet. Really proud to be in this circle. Another clickbait headline. Voted down. Good luck to Excelsior and everyone else who showed up today. Haters gonna hate. Excelsior squeezed her eyes shut as tears rolled down her cheeks. I leaned in to curl my arms around her while she wept. I don't want to quit calligraphy. Excelsior managed to squeak through the tears. There were in fact plenty of hateful comments on that page, but the majority of us understood. I stroked Excelsior's hair while her sobs settled into whimpers. Good thing the streets looked deserted, or this would be all over the news. When Excelsior's name came up, people thought of the face that Grace banners all over. Men like to swap her head with those of nude models, and almost forgot she was a person above all else. If I could snatch away Excelsior's status and claim it for my own, I might sell my soul for the chance. Excelsior shared my passion for calligraphy, yet I was willing to rob her right to pursue what she loved. I let go of Excelsior as she brushed away the last of her tears. The way her lower lip stuck out told me she must have forced herself to calm down for my sake. I stroked her hand across Excelsior's arm in farewell. It's been a fun 2 days, I'm glad I came. With that, I turned to check the tram timetable printed on the lamppost, but Excelsior grabbed my hand from behind. I'll drive you home. There's no need, my hotel's nearby anyway, I said. Excelsior ignored me and still made a phone call. In under 5 minutes, her limousine pulled up in front of us. The driver exited his car to open the front passenger door for Excelsior. As Excelsior climbed in, she lowered her head at the 3 guards sitting inside. That must be her apology for the outburst from earlier. Really, my hotel's close, I said, waving my hands to decline this offer. Really, just get in. Excelsior seized my wrist and pulled me to the car as she was kidnapping me. Ooh, after going back into his limousine, the driver glanced over his shoulder and asked if I knew the way. I just gave him a nod. Just straight ahead. That way. The driver did as told and pressed his shoe against the pedal. After our car passed the first set of lights, I said, and we're here. I guess it really is pretty close, Excelsior said, chuckling awkwardly as the limousine parked outside my hotel. Huh? Excelsior clapped her hands and the driver died out to open the front door for me. I muttered thanks as I climbed out, feeling spoiled like those rich brats I had always envied. The driver pushed the door closed before returning onto his seat. I had hoped the hotel staff might peek out and mistake me for a celebrity, but the only thing that greeted me was the evening wind. Excelsior lowered her windshield and her hair flowed under the breeze as she beamed. I'll always remember what you did for me today. Sure, that's cool. Way to leave a lasting impression, Vinty. I should have thought of what to say as farewell beforehand. Excelsior pulled her windshield up and the tinted glass now blocked out her face. I stood and watched as the limousine performed a U-turn and drove off towards the city. As I walked back into my hotel, I wondered if this might be my last face-to-face meeting with Excelsior. Gym unlocked! Day 2! I'm pretty sure there's actually, yeah. How long's left, actually? Can I check? Control... Wait. I've forgotten what the thing is for pressing. I don't know. I can't check the damn it, I can't check the whatever. We got an achievement. It's the end of day 2. This is going to be the last day, and I'm actually going to make it into another video, which I'm going to record right now because why not? And if it's really short, you won't be hearing any of this. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time for some more Within 2, where we should be able to finish off this game. So, thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye. First off, I have to meet with them. But where the heck are they? I told them when my plane was coming in, I figured they could come to meet me. I think it does that. I've done that every time I've started playing this game. Since the hit that Professor Layton village was